Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm Tyler from the Unemployed Architects. This week I'm going to be talking about our shows last weekend. Friday we played in Leroy at Houdinis Spirits again. Saturday we had two shows. The first show was at the Summer Shindig in Pontiac, and the second show was at Kemp's Upper Tap. So this week I am running a little low on time, and this is really late. I'm actually restringing guitar right now for my show tonight. So forgive any weird guitar noises you kind of hear in the background or string cutting. But anyway, so Leroy last weekend, I ended up and brought the JBL for a simple setup. Figured it was going to be a pretty standard Leroy show. And I tried a different placement of the JBL. I put it like kind of across the room, and that seemed to really make it really just a lot better all around, just being a little further away from everybody. All the sound wasn't very concentrated. It was like really slow, and we just thought pretty standard Leroy show. And by about halfway through, we were playing, and I kind of look up and realize that, it's getting kind of busy in here. And then, fast forward a little bit further, and it's like semi-packed. And not only that, it's like a very like attentive and like, I'm in the middle of a song. Usually when I'm there, I'm kind of just, playing for myself a lot of the time because I don't feel like the crowds are really that into it. And so kind of playing some songs and getting to the end. And, after one or two, I'm like hearing kind of roar of an audience applause. And I'm kind of look up and a little bit surprised, and it's kind of busy, and they're into it. And so we keep playing songs, and I keep being like pleasantly surprised. And we take a couple breaks and talk to a bunch of people there in between, and they're just like super positive, super into it. I don't know. It was probably the best show we've ever played there. I thought it sounded pretty solid. I think moving the JBL around was a good move, and it just turned out to be a really good night. It was like big applause breaks after every song, and playing lots of originals, and we did a fair amount of covers too. But so it just ended up being very cool, very pleasant surprise. Not that it's bad there ever, but it's a little bit like I said, it's more of a show for me where I can kind of experiment. This was a show that both Lo and Dave were at. So that was a good show. Next show, we played at the Summer Shindig in Pontiac, and we played early, and they didn't really promote us playing that much. And, I wasn't super sure how it was going to be. We got there, we thought we were going to have to do our own sound, but they hired some sound people, and they were like already all set up pretty well. So we ended up and used their sound, so that was a little bit of a stress relief for sure. When you do your own sound, you can get exactly what you're looking for if you have enough time to really work it out. So I wouldn't say that my guitar definitely sounded pretty twangy for what I would normally shoot for, because I didn't have a lot of control over it. But overall, it felt good. It sounded good. The monitor mix was like real MIDI, but I could hear it really well. That was, and we were like before the actual show started. So, I wasn't expecting it to be busy. I pretty much expected it to be like a practice show, and that's kind of what it ended up. But the people that were there, we got good reactions from, and I was feeling good because it was sounding good, It's easy to, and like there was no stakes, it wasn't like, there's no pressure. So it was easy to not take it too seriously and just have fun. So that was cool. And then like my family all came out, and they watched me play, and then after I got to hang out with them a little bit. And then we ended up, and went straight from there to Kemps. We all rode together and went to Kemps, and we got there, I don't know, every show was supposed to get rained out pretty much like every weekend this year. It's been very rainy. Something to do with the sun, I keep hearing, being in like hibernation mode or something. I don't know. I've heard it from two different people. I don't know if that's true at all, but not a lot of solar weather going on, I guess. It's kind of keeping it very wet. Lots making our weather worse somehow. Again, no idea if that's true, but I've heard it from two different sources. But anyway, so that was the only one that really, I mean, it looked bad in the morning, so we got a message early in the morning, and they were saying, or Kemp was saying, that we should probably just move it to inside. And since we were playing inside, I was like, I know that it gets really crowded in the dinner rush, so we could move it later if you want. So, and he seemed all for that. So we ended up and did that. And I mean, I don't know. There was a carnival going on at the same time, the Lexington Carnival, and they had a band outside. So it's probably better that we played inside because we were doing fighting sound wise. Even if they were just like sound checking, obviously their sound system would have been a lot bigger and better than ours. But anyway, so I don't know. It just really didn't pan out very good. I think, you know, if people were going out in Lexington, I think a lot of them were going to see the band that was outside, but a lot of people got discouraged even from that because the weather. So there wasn't many people to begin with, but even if there was people coming to wanted to see live music, they probably would have tried to stay outside with the full band. It's like a country cover band. They were good. We went out and caught a little bit of them. And what the singer I had met, his name's Not2, or that's his last name, and he's a really good singer. But anyway, it just wasn't very busy, and I don't know. I always get kind of weird vibes when we play indoor there. It's constantly just being told to turn down, which is I don't know. I mean, this time I always expected a little bit, but I mean, I literally played like 2 chords, and I just kept it from the same settings that I had at Houdinis the night before. And you know, Houdinis is way smaller, but Kemps is more of like a giant hall, so I guess it probably is louder. I don't know. I just strummed a chord and sang a little, strummed a chord and sang a little bit, and immediately they were like, "You need to turn it like way down." And there's just something about that just like, hey, it's like, you know, I probably would have turned it down without being asked because I realized it was pretty loud, but like, I don't know. It just, as a mental thing, kind of throws you off your game a little bit if they tell you more than once, especially. And I mean, I understand, like, people want to eat and be able to talk, and it's this big billowy room, but the psyche of a musician is pretty fragile, I guess, especially when you're in performance mode. It doesn't take much just to get you off, like, I mean, there's definitely, no matter what, I can get through a show, but there's a difference between me just getting through a show and me, like, powering through a show, I guess, or, like, really just crushing a show, like, and that's kind of what I felt like with Kemps. We brought a few people out, which was nice. A couple people from Pontiac came, and the thing that we played at earlier, the Summer Shindig, was having live music in Pontiac, like, all night, and it was outside and everything, and it really didn't rain, so, I mean, we didn't even really need to be inside at Kemps, but, so, I mean, it would have been fine to be in Pontiac and be at the outdoor event, so it was really nice, the people from Pontiac that came, and then we had a couple Lexington locals come, and, I mean, we got some good feedback, but I don't know, it was just weird vibes. Not terrible or anything, and Kemp's always like the nicest dude. He definitely always takes care of us, and you know, not nice to book it. Kemp's has always been one of those places that you know, you work so hard to get into because it's like the spot. And that was back in the old days when he had like a tiny, like, skinny bar in Lexington, but he was all about the live music. So I mean, he always worked really hard to get good bands in there, so, you know, I always wanted to be kind of accepted into that crowd, and we eventually kind of got there. I still don't feel like we're as embraced as a lot of bands over there, like Dan Hubbard or like Chicago Farmer or any Miles Nielsen or any of those guys. Of course, those guys are quite a bit older than I am, but not like crazy old, but I think like 5 to 10 years older, so maybe that has a little bit to do with it. I don't know, I just always wanted to get in there, and then you get in there, and I just don't ever feel like I belong, kind of. I mean, he always compliments us and says really nice things, but as far as like, I'm sure we don't get paid probably quite as much as a lot of those people do, and I don't know, I'm really doubting he's telling Dan Hubbard or any of those guys that they need to be quieter, because I think when they play a show there, it's more of like a show. When we play there, it's more like just kind of background music. But anyway, again, nothing against anyone over there. They always take care of us. It's just a little bit of a weird vibe. It's probably just in my head anyway. I just want to be accepted ultimately, I think, and you know, I don't necessarily feel like I get that much. It's just kind of overall in Bloomington in general. I feel like I'm a little like not where I want. But you always feel like that. You always feel like you're not quite where you want to be. I mean, if I would have told myself 5 years ago that I'd be playing, you know, over 100 shows a year, and told myself, you know, the amount of money I'd be making from the shows, and that I'd do some like a little bit of touring and stuff, I would have been like, man, that is amazing. But now that I'm like in it, you know, you don't. It's hard to appreciate where you're at. You know, you always want to be, and you always just, there's a class above you that you always just want to get into. Even if you are kind of in it, like it's hard to really know if you're like accepted into it. I just don't ever really feel that way. I like all those guys a lot too, so you know, I always am like Dan Hubbard, Chicago Farmer, Ed Anderson, Miles Nielsen. They're all great. Like you know, but I don't know if they even really know me at all, you know. But I've always appreciated what those guys do, and I use them for like role models for sure. Like I'm watching what they're doing and kind of taking it in, and like especially business wise, I feel like a lot of those guys have, you know, figured out a little bit better than I do. But anyway, so you know, it just wasn't Kemps wasn't my favorite show, and we've had great shows there. I'm talking down on it too much, because I mean, we've had some really fun ones. Like we were supposed to open for Trippin' Billy's one time for like an outdoor street festival, and ended up it got rained out, but then Kemp just had us come play inside. And it was me, Blair, Dave, Lowe, and I think that was it. Maybe Kev. I can't remember whether Kev was there. No, I don't think Kev was there. And it was just a blast. It was kind of hard to hear because that new bar is just a little bit rough, but you know, we've had some great shows there. I almost like the skinnier bar acoustically better, but anyway, it's a great place, and he supports live music, and it's awesome. There was just no way to foresee the weather, or, you know, I wouldn't have known that the carnival was going to be in town. We've actually played that carnival a few times, which usually we play it like during the week, so it's like a Thursday, but it's usually it's the opposite than what it was this last week, where it was like we get burnt to a crisp because they didn't have like anything covering the stage. But yeah, so anyway, those were the shows this weekend, or this last weekend. This weekend, I already played one because I'm doing this pretty later than I normally would. I just got really busy with working on some recording, and I'm working on a music video too. I think I mentioned that last time, and kind of time got away from me a little bit. So I'm trying to get this in here. So sorry it's a little rushed, a little weird doing the guitar restring at the same time, but anyway, so this weekend I had one show last night, last night I played it was just like an hour set opening for another thing kind of in the Pontiac, Riverside, Humston Riverside Park, at the band shell, opening for Hurricane Reggae Band. So I'll probably talk about that next week. And then I also, tonight I play at Gill Street in Bloomington, and then tomorrow Make Music Normal is like a big festival, but this weather is like a nightmare. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's like took so much work, and the lineup's like crazy good. They got so many great acts playing, and it's probably gonna be raining the whole time. Just, Morgan, the person that books us and booked us for that, she's been working on it for about, she told me earlier today, 7 months, and then it's kind of getting ruined with the weather, and that's just so unfortunate, because this is probably going to be the best year, would have been the best year yet, lineup-wise and stage-wise, and I know that she worked really hard, so, but we'll see. I mean, it's kind of stopped raining right now, but I know it's definitely supposed to rain tomorrow, and tomorrow's like the big day where they have like a ton of people playing, so I'm not really sure, but so I'll let you know how that all goes. But anyway, so thanks for listening as always, and I will talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.